can I afford a boat, and can I afford £1,000,000 a week? And I'm not spending £1,000,000 a week on a boat, but I did spend quite a silly amount of money turning a sort of room that was doing nothing into a cinema room, and that was a long-standing dream. That was something I'd wanted since I was young, and finally made that dream come true. And that was a real thrill. I don't know if is that a midlife crisis? No, I don't think so. I think it was just some people would buy a sports car or something.
It's a midlife victory.
It's a midlife victory, isn't it? And so yes, built this little cinema room, and did it properly with the kind of plush red sort of furniture, and I wanted it to feel a bit like a kind of going into an Odeon in 1986.
Oh, nice.
And
sticky floors.
Sticky floors, yeah. And two people making out. Yeah, but never
Can you imagine
never
that?
me.
Yeah, it's just
That's right, yeah.
Just
me just sitting on my own, forlornly watching them as he fingers her.
There's a real sense of realism.
That's right.
Can you two, just people talking a bit too loudly.
That's right, keep it down, please. So that was...
How many seats in
How many seats have we got in there? 5?
Okay.
5? Not 6. It's only a tiny room. It's only small.
Nice.
But just enough to kind of...
And the seats, are we talking
you're
about...
reclining, boy.
Yeah.
You're reclining.
Yeah.
Have you got your seat?
I have got my seat.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And anyway, so it's just... And again... that's one of those things. Frustratingly, it wasn't complete by COVID, but I could imagine I would never have left.
What was the first film that you watched in that room?
I should have made it more of a ceremony, shouldn't I? But I don't remember if I did. I think there was probably quite a lot of putting films on to test the sound system and the vision. So I was probably
Top Gun, Maverick.
It was probably things like that that we're trying to get. Yeah, that were. But I mean, certainly during the kind of awards season, if you're lucky enough to be a BAFTA member, they send you the films. So, to be able to sort of sit there and watch them and kind of get that cinema experience at home is delightful.
Do you feel like you get that?
I do feel that, yes.
Okay, you don't miss the kind of, I remember once going to see remember Trainwreck, the Amy Schumer film. I watched that in New York in a packed cinema, and it's a pretty good film, but there was something about watching it in a packed cinema in New York, and it really felt like New York was proud of her. It was really great.
And I get that.
That collective feeling of like everyone going,
Yes, so, I will sometimes make an effort to go to the cinema if it's a comedy or a horror film where I know there's going to be some visceral, shared jumps and things. That is fun. But when you're watching, I don't know, some kind of Euro art house movie, I'm not sure I need to share that. With a crowd of people, but I have to say I do remember going to see one of the Fast and Furious films in the cinema, and people just losing their mind, just so invested in it. And I loved that. Was great. And at the end, they also have a post-credit sequence, and there were 2 women sat near me who were just in it, and it was one of them where one of the characters that had died sort of reappeared in the post-credit sequence, and these 2 women they just went, no! And they were losing their minds. It was a joy.
Yeah.
And that I admit, but I have to say,
was that in America?
That was in America.
Yeah.
And I
something like watching a film in the States is they are a different breed.
Different breed. But I watched a more recent Fast and Furious where they go into space.
Okay.
And I was just as excited. I was cheering. I was just at home.
Yeah.
In a little cinema. I was on my own watching it, but I was enthralled. I loved it. I loved the preposterousness of it, the camp. The only sadness was not to be able to share the joy.
So you're watching on your own?
I was watching on my own, but I still had a great time.
What? And because you've got your own cinema room, do you have cinema snacks? I'm hoping not.
No snacks are allowed.
Yeah.
No snacks, and even drinks have to have a lid on, a little kind of sippy cup.
Yeah.
Yeah. No one's eating snacks in my. I don't know why you eat before you arrive.
Yeah.
Don't
absolutely.
be chowing down in the cinema, whether it's in my place or in a public cinema.
Yeah.
Don't be eating.
Yeah.
Don't be eating nachos. What are you talking about?
Nachos, and it's
always the crunchiest food. Oh, it's a disgrace.
Yeah.
So no, there's no food. There'll be no food eating in there. But you are allowed to sip a drink, but there'll be no talking. There's no looking at the phones. We're either watching a film or we're not.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
I completely agree with you. You and me should go on Gogglebox, and it'll just cut to you and me watching the screen.
Yeah, because we're not chatting. Why are we chatting? These people have gone to the effort of making a programme.
Nobody talks And if they do, like, not once in Gogglebox, that would be great to have someone. You want to shut the fuck up and try.
Yeah,
like
I'm trying to. David Attenborough's done a lot of work here. Yeah. Do you know how long it takes to film whales?
Yeah. And suddenly now we've got people just blabbering over the top of it.
I agree.
Losing words.
Furious.
Just the other day we were watching. My wife's uncle came over and he said, "Oh, I've got nothing to watch. I feel like I've watched everything." And I said, "Well, there's a series I think you'd like. It's called SAS Rogue Heroes. It'll be on the iPlayer. I thought you'd be into that."
Yeah. And
sure enough, he kind of was. But his partner and my wife was brushing our dog. Just...
Yep.
And I'm trying to concentrate.
Oh,
and they're chatting about, "Oh, I like him. He's that thing, isn't he? I like him." Just this... That should be on Gogglebox. Just the look of fury.
When I was a teenager... And even when I was at university, I was studying film, and I would come home in the holidays. I would have to watch films either for studies or just because I was, there was films I should be watching, and I would be watching something, and there was only one TV in the house when I was growing up, particularly if it was on VHS or DVD, and so it was in the living room, and my mother would come in, and she'd bring me a drawer from my desk in my room, and she'd like, "While you're watching this, go through this drawer, would you? See if there's anything we can throw away." And it was like, "No, Mother, I'm watching. I'm either watching or I'm looking through drawers. This is not..." But she could read. She'll read a paper or do some ironing, and like, "What's happening now?"
Yeah.
It makes my blood boil.
It's funny, isn't it?
What's he been in?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Who does he look like?
Yeah.
Who does he look like? Who gives a fuck who he looks like?
Yeah, exactly. But it's when they stand in front of the telly, it's like they're playing charades with themselves.
Yeah.
I know. How do Mr. Tumble. It's not Mr. Tumble, is it? That's right.
And she'll go.
It's Idris Elba, you fucking maniac.
Well, she'll make some teas and come back in and not know what's going on. Well, of course not.
Yeah.
You've just missed 15 minutes.
Counterpoint, they're just trying to be friends.
But they're dragging you out of a world.
That's right.
That you're so invested. And you're there, and then I'm sure we both love our mums, and we're talking directly to mothers here.
Very much talking to mothers.
But it's that thing where I don't want to be. I love you, but I don't want to be dragged back.
Oh, Bristol Evening Post. She'd be reading that each page. Crinkle, crumple, crinkle, crinkle.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, there's been a crash on the A38.
Right. And I used to get mocked for areas. He'll have all the lights switched off, so we're watching it in the bloody dark.
Yeah.
Yes, because we can't see the screen otherwise. He's got the curtains drawn in the daytime.
I find it mind-blowing as well when you're at a cinema and people haven't got the decency to suck crisps. Like when it's a really tense moment, and just surely that's what you do. If you've got crisps, the very least you can do is...
Well, the talking is getting worse and worse. And I remember watching Django Unchained. There was a couple of teenagers watching it, chatting. And after about 40 minutes, I did lean over and I said, "Are you going to talk or are we going to watch the fucking film?" And they looked at me and they did a double take because they recognised me. And they must have, and I imagine they'd never been told off before, for talking during a film. Clearly irresponsible mums letting them chat at home. They'd gone finally to the cinema. Someone had the nerve to tell them to shut the fuck up. And they left. And I thought, you would prefer to talk than watch the film. Fair enough. You've made your choice. But I was furious.
It's funny as well when you if you find yourself lucky enough to go to like an Everyman, it's very difficult to go back.
It is difficult.
Once you felt do you have that comfort at your home cinema? Do you have those when you're in the chair? Is it treating you right?
It's treating me well.
Okay.
Yeah, it is treating me well. And and it's also the problem going back to the regular cinema. As much as I love it and love the shared experience, is I'm always jumpy about: is there going to be a natterer? Is there going to be someone who's constantly looking at their phone? Because there I want to go, you're clearly 19 years old. What possible message is fucking coming in here? What, Tokyo's just accepted the deal? Because there's nothing important that's coming into your fucking life that you can't wait for 2 hours, right? And so shut your phone off.
What can you remember the film the first film that really made an impact on you?
Well, I'm sure it's true for a lot of people my age, but I remember going to see Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
Probably my dad had snuck us in through a fire exit. Yeah. And I remember watching that.
Just carrying a boat.
That's right.
Just pop it down there.
Yeah. And being kind of enthralled by the whole ceremony of it.
Yeah.
The sitting down, the adverts, the trailers, the lights going down.
And that boom.
All of that.
The text coming up the first time, it's still sends sort of shivers down your back, doesn't it?
It's wonderful, and I, and I'm not trying to be kind of someone who's pushing against the way things are changing, but I think, unfortunately, with streaming and with all of those things, and with people watching it on their own devices, that I guess that particular magic could get lost.
I know what you mean. It's the ceremony and the ritual of it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, the world of double screening is upon us.
Yeah.
Which must be, because nobody creates thinking, I've got to compete with somebody on TikTok.
Well, apparently now algorithms will assess, whether people are engaged immediately, and there's a lot of stuff about completion rates, right? So does someone watch the movie or the show all the way through?
Yeah.
How much of it do they watch? And so now, from my understanding, if you're making a project for a streaming, particularly a film, you have to grab them immediately.
Yes.
In a way, whereas films used to set up the world that you were in, and kind of ease you into that, and here are the characters, and then sort of 20 minutes in, the big moment would happen, the alien would arrive or whatever. Oh, and now we're off. But now, that alien better show up.
Well, not only just
phoning home or whatever straight away.
But the alien, it's almost within the first 5 minutes, you have to grab them, but also make them want to stay for the next hour and a half. You have to say that, and something else is going to happen. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
And this next hour and 20 will be really important, so don't worry.
Well, that's, I think, also why it's very hard with sitcoms now. And people talking about there aren't those big communal sitcoms like there used to be. And I think part of the problem is that it's very hard to grab someone in the opening moments of a sitcom because it doesn't have a body washing up on shore.
Yeah.
Invariably, it has all a sitcom. It really is characters and their situation, and once you get to know their dynamic, the funnier it becomes.
Yeah,
very hard to grab someone immediately.
Yes.
with a comedy sitcom.
So is that why there's more dramedy?
Dramedy is easier because you'll often see the projection forward, right? So it'll have, I don't know, someone in tears running through the street, and then it'll say, 6 months earlier or 4 days or whatever, and it can, I'm hooked. But quite hard to do that on a sort of on a sitcom where you want just a sort of gentle.
But it's funny though, isn't it? Because you sort of think, but once you're in that world, you can't hit that drum enough. You look at something like Curb.
Right.
You kind of know what's going to happen in every episode.
Oh, and now you're in. Now you're excited because you know what you're in for, and it's a treat.
And it's a real comfort. But you only get that if you leave the teabag in.
That's it.
Do you know what I mean? It's kind of, yeah. Do you feel like you're in a position where you're still able to get stuff made and convince people in a way that if you were kind of an up and comer, it would be impossible?
No, I don't think so. I don't think anyone has an easy ride anymore. I mean, I hear stories of, the most amazing packages put together with big stars and incredible writers, and none of the people buy it for whatever reason because they don't think it's going to be quite saleable or it's going to fit in the algorithm or whatever. And so I don't think anyone has an easy ride. And I think certainly that idea of, you need to grab them quick is only something I've started to become aware of very recently. I feel like I've been behind the curve on that.
Yeah.
Because I grew up on things where you gave shows a bit of time.
Yeah.
And you kind of you sort of trusted the people to sort of persuade you it was worth your time.
Yeah. And are you more inclined towards acting or writing? What?
Well, I like it all really, and I kind of, when I'm acting, I'm sort of thinking, I'm sort of stuck in a trailer here. I wouldn't mind being writing. That's fun, and then you're writing, you're like, this is kind of hard work, and I'm hitting my head against a brick wall. I wish I was directing. That's a challenge. There's a question every minute, and then you're directing like, this is too stressful. Oh God, this is painful. I wish I was back. I wish I was just acting. I'm never quite happy, but they all have different challenges and stimulate you in different ways.